What about a battle mat? Hi, hello ladies and jelly spoons. I'm going to try this battle mat construction that I saw on cut that bigger. I saw on Black Magic Craft. Black Magic Craft did this, and it looked like it worked pretty well. So I'm going to see how it works for me. It's using a floor mat that I bought at a Home Depot. Now here in Canada, it's real easy to find. I don't know how easy or hard it might be to find elsewhere. It's an entire tube. And with this stuff, it's called Dynaflex by DAP. And, or is it DAP by Dynaflex? I don't know which one's the manufacturer and which one is the product. But anyway, just a tube of it. And spread that out. All in all, it produces a pretty cheap, inexpensive, not cheap, inexpensive battle mat. And his success with it was pretty good. I'm not quite his skill level, but we'll see what I can do. So this material is it's an acrylic latex kind of stuff. So the DAP. So it's going to flex nicely and be able to still roll up. At least that's what I gathered from his video. Now you see all these big lines. It's looking kind of like, it's looking like plaster or something. And you're thinking, oh no, we don't want that. That's no good. You can't use that. Don't worry. There's a solution. I really would urge you to watch Black Magic Craft's video on this. But if you don't, this is my attempt to do what he does. Sometimes I like that kind of video because you have somebody out there like Black Magic Craft and you think, well, that guy's an expert. He really knows what he's doing. And I'm sitting here, I'm a schlub. I don't know what I'm doing. Well, here it is. I'm a schlub too. And I don't know what I'm doing. And so if I can replicate what he does, then it's not just his skill level, it's a good technique in general, right? That's what I figure. Okay, he said he used about 1.5 containers of the stuff when he did his. I'm getting a good thickness. I'm almost, actually, I don't even think use a half, but I'll use some more, definitely. Okay, where's my pocket? Not going to cut this one as wide because I'll have to seal this one back up. Using a screw, I think, is the tried and tested method. Sticking a screw down the middle of the thing, right? All right, so it's going on pretty good. Now I chose a brown because I want to do I want to use this as an outdoor. I'm going to do an outdoor theme to it, right? So put this on. Okay. The other side of this mat has all sorts of ridges. It's for traction when you come in from outside with muddy boots or slippery boots, snow all over them or whatever. So obviously I'm not using that side because that would be harder. You'd have to fill all those ridges up before you got your layer of goop. Now why the layer of goop, you're wondering? Well, it's for texture for one thing. You think, well, that's not much texture. That looks pretty smooth, buddy. And those lines still look like you did a plastering job. I agree. But this is not the last step. Trust me, trust Black Magic Craft. Trust me as I trust Black Magic Craft. How's that? Okay, going over the whole thing. It's at a pretty good depth. It's thick enough it can take some texture, but not so thick that it's going to be a real problem. I hope. Of course, I say that as if I know what I'm doing. And again, the whole point of this is that I don't. But we'll see if I can pretend that I do. If I can at least pretend I know what I'm doing, then we'll get somewhere. All right. And where I got it. Get it all here. All right. Now, no, I'm not using this as grass texture. I'm not. I'm really not. It is just going to be ground in, and I'm going to paint over it. It's actually just texture. So that's going to get ground in. I'm trying to push it in a little bit so that things sink in and get a little covered. I want them to bury in there, right? I want the texture to stick on it, nice and thick. So that's going to be, yeah, that's all right. It's wet. Loaded with water. Get it wet. Push it down. This will not only get rid of those lines, it'll create some texture. So that even in the places where there's no sand, no rocks, none of that, there's still going to be a sense of some texture. You want to use what Jeremy over at Black Magic Craft, what he suggests is using a roller that has a pretty long nap on it. And I've always liked a good long nap myself, so that's what I used. Okay. Now, those rocks have been pushed in, the sand has been pushed in. Just gonna give a real little bit more sand. Just a little. A couple areas where rocks didn't take. Alright. Now that just has to dry overnight. And we'll see what we get tomorrow. Okay, here we are a day later and not $1 shorter. And this is pretty well stuck down. There's a couple of loose bits here. Just tear that off. Most of the stuff is pretty well stuck down though. Most of the stuff, both the sand and the gravel. And I've begun peeling it up. It sort of sticks a little bit. And I come along with a razor blade and trim off any sort of overhang. Some of it's still a little wet, I have to say. Some of it's still, there's the camera. Some of it's still a little wet. So I'll leave it to dry another day. It's no rush. I'm not in a hurry. But it looks great, I have to say. Even this stuff's kind of stuck down. This is a little looser. I may go over it again. Black Magic Craft, he went over the whole thing with a watered down bit of the Dynaflex, of the caulking, to make almost a house paint consistency, and he covered it with that. This brown is interesting. It's not really brown. I don't know how well you can tell in this video. It's not brown. It's sort of a almost purplish color. It's kind of strange, but it will be okay as a base on which to paint. So the idea here is I'm not going to do static grass or flocking or anything, because I think rolling it up and unrolling it is just going to ruin it. What I will do is I will take paint. I'm going to paint it first, some different browns, just to give the ground some variety, some splotchiness. You know, I'll do areas that are more flat. I'll do it in a deeper brown, like it's a bit muddy here, etc. Then I'll go over it with, in the raised areas where there's rocks and whatnot, with a dry brush in a light color to pick those up. And I'll go over those in another brown, and then I'll go over in a dry brush to really pick them up. And then in the other areas, I'm going to go over it really dry brushing in a couple of different colors, green, 2 or 3 different greens, just to create a grass look, and where the little ridges are left by the roller and the sand and whatnot, those can pick up some green, and it can kind of have a grassy appearance. It's not going to be perfect. It's not going to look, like as good as flocking wood or static grass or whatnot. But for my purposes, I think it'll be great. And this, this is it's at least a 2x3. It's a little more than 2, I think. Or it's a little more more than 3. It's a 2 by a bit more than 3. Maybe the 38, 39 inches. I'm really looking forward to getting this down on the board for the heroes of Honeywood to have some encounters on. So here it is. This is how it's turned out. It's all right. I was a little sloppy with the way I did it, so the results are a little sloppy. I'm gonna see how much of that I can clean up with paint, and I'm gonna tell you right now, I am not at all sure about this. This is the least confident I have felt approaching something at the painting stage. I don't quite know what to do, so I'm going to be experimenting as I go. I know that I want to finish with some dry brushing of different shades of green to make it look grassy. And then I got to go back and just hit the highlights of the stones to get them gray and brown and things like that. But I don't know what to do otherwise. So I don't know what to do. Yeah. Well, when you don't know what you're doing, everything you do is a step in the right direction. Okay, well, here we go. One thing I want to do to start with is to add some different brown to this, some different shades of brown, just to mix it up so that it's not, uniform, because the real world isn't like that, right? So I've got a cinnamon brown, a burnt umber, just brown, the golden brown that's opened already. Okay. All right, so I've got 4 different shades of brown in addition to the one that's already on the mat. I'm going to use I'm going to try this. This is a Black Magic craft trick. I'm going to try a makeup, cheapo dollar store makeup brush for the dry brushing, but that's a later step. I'm going to start with a big, chonky thing. I'm covering an area here. Burnt umber. That looks like it's held burnt umber before. Might as well hold it again. So here we are. I have no idea what I'm doing, so that's cool. I always like that when I have no clue what's going on. That's always good. And I'm just going to start throwing it down. Because why not? And you can see there's some more textured areas here. That I even used a green sand. It just happened to be a sand I had. I'm going to use that sand to really pick up some greens, to be grass. I know I've seen someone do a battle mat like this where they actually did use flocking. I think it was static grass, I think. And then they could roll it up and everything. I just can't see that working very well for me. I know that physics doesn't actually hate me, but it seems like it does, and it feels like that would just all fall off every time I rolled the thing up. So I'm not going to do that. Anyway, I'm going to do this for a little while. You can watch while I paint. I don't like the curling. You can't see it because it's not in the shot. I don't like that this thing is curling at the edge. You can see over here. It's kind of curling. Not liking that. I'm not fond of it. I had it stored rolled up, but not rolled up tight or anything. It's just rolled up loosely out in the garage. And the point of this is that you can roll it up, right? So I have to say, I'm not enamored with that particular issue. I don't know if it's going to continue like that or if it'll get better or what, but here's hoping. I will say already, just being able to put this on, blend it out a little bit, it is looking nicer. It's looking kind of streaky, muddy, like ground. Like I say, looking at the camera, it looks okay on camera. It looks better in person, but it looks okay on camera. It won't look awful. Just a little bit of black in with that burnt umber because I want an even darker mud. It is this. I really can say it is looking much better on the table than it is in the video. This isn't nearly as contrasty as it is on the video. Right. Clean brush. Yeah, now through the camera, again, it really looks a lot more extreme than it does in person. In person, it doesn't look this extreme, but that's okay. As it is a mat for playing in person, not online. Matter that much what it looks like on the camera. Okay. I don't want to get all of the dark going because it's nice to have that sense of depth, right? Right there, you can see that real sense of depth. Like there's a slick area right through there. The mud's really deep. But I don't want to get rid of it at all. football field or something. I don't mind that at all. I don't mind that at all. Okay. Hunter green, which seems pretty bright. Holiday green, which is really bright. Christmas green is also a holiday. It's the same. We got a telemark green. Telemark green's kind of bluish in a way. This ought to be interesting. And by interesting, of course, I mean a disaster. I have all sorts of these cardboard trays left over from produce of some sort. I don't know if it was, jalapenos or what came in them. But they're going to be paint trays now. My mistake was on camera, was it? Yeah, it was just on the edge of camera. Yeah, so my embarrassment was caught on video after all. This is a real problem. I gotta clear this up. Yeah, just a wet brush. Just a wet brush. Find the dragon of chaos and face it and rescue your dead father. Those rocks that I want to pick up nice and light
Don't need the smallest, finest, but I don't want anything clumsy either. There's the one with the purple-pink handle. There it is. It's funny, I've got all these brushes, and about 90% of them I never use, and I just keep going back to this old one for some reason. Well, I know the reason. You trust what you know, and you know. With all the singing that I do is that, of course, it could lead to a copyright strike, so I can't include it, which is a shame, because to know me is to know that I sing all the time. I really do. Rubble field is all about. I don't know why there's so many rocks out here, but hey, I don't know. Now here's a question. Do you ever do these adventures, because I do it all the time. I don't know if you've noticed. I do it all the time. Where you start out, you don't have any lore, and you just go and you make it up on the fly as like an excuse for why your terrain, has a dent in it, or why the silly accent you did for this character is exactly the same as the silly accent you did for the last character. Or even if it's done well, it just stands out, and you decide, well, I'll hang some lore on it. You do that? I do it constantly. I'm always doing that. He's mixing it on the brush. So each stone I've painted has been a slightly different color because I've had different stuff on the brush. Oh, I do like that. I do like that look. So this is what I'm doing tonight. Boy, didn't think it would take this long. You don't need to watch me do the rest of this. I'm going to turn you off.
2 hours later.
So what would I say about this particular craft for a non-black magic craft guy like me? How easy is it to do? It's not hard. It's not. It's a little fiddly because of the way I did it, because I just sort of fools rushed in, right? Made it harder than it needed to be, probably. That's typical of me. But you know what? It does actually look pretty good.
I have to say, it looks pretty good on the table. It looks pretty good with the minis on it. There is the issue of this one side that buckled up and doesn't seem to be going back down, and I don't know quite what to do to make that happen. Now, another test is going to be when I roll this up and how the paint takes being rolled up. Now, it is acrylic. It is a rubbery kind of paint, so it ought to be okay. I don't know. But I like the way it looks, and I think, you know, you can even bring your, you know... And if you've done any amount of basing, which I did on that one on myself, and on this one the basing came with it. It's, you know, it doesn't match or anything, but you don't need it to matchy, right? You don't need it to be matchy. It's gonna look okay. I mean, this one's a lot lighter than the ground. You know, not the worst issue in the world. I think it turned out pretty well. What did you guys think? I think it looks all right. What about you, Oak?
Harum. I was stolen directly from John Rhys Davies. Harum.
Copyright.
The stone rising out of the fens. It kind of has a swampy look to it, which is going to be really good. Maybe I hang on to it and save it, which I hate doing. I like showing the boys, especially. I mean, my wife's like, oh, you made another thing. But, you know, the boys really like it. And, no, I shouldn't say it. She's actually quite, you know, supportive of the whole hobby, given how much of our house it takes up. But no, I like showing them the stuff right away. But maybe I hold on to this until there's a return to the swampy territory. And I can put the lizard men in there. The lizard men that I'm also painting right now. Time will tell. I don't have a horn.